if he regresses in the touchdowns and he's like closer to like 6 or 7, which I think is reasonable, even 8, maybe. So I actually think I might be a little bit too high on McLaurin.
Sad to see this, Matthew. Turning you back.
I'm not.
When things got good.
Too high on him, you say. Unbelievable.
Screw you guys.
Things finally got good, and you leave now?
Hey, no. Screw you guys and screw the regulars, because like all I do is hang on. All I do is get accused of being a homer. All I do is getting accused of being a homer on this show, and then when I actually when I'm not a homer, like you guys like bail on me for not being homer enough.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Connor Rogers, Matthew Berry, Jay Croucher. Welcome to all the regulars, even though Matthew said screw you yesterday.
I have to tell you something. Seeing you guys try to pit me against the regulars who I love, it is fitting that today is the draft of the League of Assholes. So we are doing our draft later today. Later on I am crashing out.
An early meltdown. First of many to come.
It's 12:01.
It's 12:01.
Make it to the over-under at 12:06.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the undercashed.
Yep.
All I'm going to say here, very simply, is that we are later today in the show. We are going to announce our draft order for the League of Assholes, and then we're doing our draft later today. So it is not surprising that the vultures are out in full force. Once again, trying to take me down, trying to screw up my mojo, my back-to-back championship mojo that I have. Jay Croucher.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad moments from you in the draft over the past few years.
We had a lot of memories.
First year, it was super flex. The next year, you had like 3 seconds left on the clock, and then you screamed out, "Stop the clock!"
Yeah,
with his arms up.
So someone could stop the clock.
Right.
Like the clock keeps going.
I'll tell you why. Because you know what happens? What they don't understand is so we were filming it all for a social, and I'm having to do this stuff, and they're interviewing me because I have to carry this effing show. I have to carry all these a-holes, which is why it's the League of Assholes. So you know what I mean? Like if you guys could pony up a little bit, some personality, and I could focus on my draft occasionally, then yeah, we'd be okay. But no, I've got to do it all myself. So yeah, you're damn right.
Connor's got plenty. Connor was just interviewing Keith Hernandez.
I know. Went viral.
Yep.
Went viral.
I'm coming for that Emmy this year.
Yeah.
Todd Zeal, be on watch. High alert.
We'll see, Todd Zeal. Yeah, good luck. Like, do you think that viral clip of you just asking one little question is enough to get you the
not what
Emmy?
I'm nominated for. I'm nominated for Jets.
Okay,
so it's not on the reel.
Not even on the reel.
So no, it doesn't help at all.
Right?
Sharpening my skills.
Do Emmy voters take that into account when a guest that you've interviewed goes viral?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think they're online like that.
I actually found out yesterday that Keith Hernandez, he narrowly beat Todd Zeal for the 1979 MVP. Keith squeaked it out over Todd Zeal's, which you couldn't do the past couple of years.
No, we'll see how it goes this year. But
all right, one last thing here before, and we're getting to our running back tiers in 1 second here, but we just have to take a moment here to, everyone in the universe, literally everyone in the universe was celebrating the engagement of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Of course, we've got an 87 up there on our wall as well. We love Travis here. We love Taylor Swift. We're a bunch of Swifties. I certainly am. I'm a big Swiftie. Everyone
I'm not,
knows
but I don't have any problem with her. I just couldn't name you one song.
We're all Swifties. 33% of the table.
Exactly. Right. When you have daughters, you'll become a Swiftie.
Yeah.
You will appreciate her showmanship.
There'll be someone else by then.
Anyway, whatever. I'm a legitimate Swiftie. I have seen her in concert. I have all the albums. Love me some Taylor Swift. Love me some Travis Kelce. Had him on a number of fantasy teams, including dynasty teams. Thrilled with their wedding, or their engagement, I should say. Everyone's talking about it. And so you'd think they would drink free today at the happy hour as we join the entire universe in toasting their impending nuptials.
Yes.
But no, actually, drinking free today, producer Adam decided it was Denny.
What a reveal.
Denny
we actually
Carter.
should have had a curtain over it for that kind of reveal.
Yeah, Denny Carter drinks for free. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Denny.
Happy birthday, Denny.
You'll see him on Fridays this
He'll
season.
be on Friday, and with all of his conspiracy theories, what the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. He's in our League of Assholes. He's here in town for the draft and some of the other stuff as well.
Unearthing Parker Washington target share.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, just so you know, so we're the only people on the planet not celebrating Taylor and Travis, but we've got Denny.
Yes, we got Denny Carter.
Got happy birthday, Denny.
Good trade.
Yeah. Sure.
Some would say even.
Yeah, some should say even. Denny, by the way, I think Denny's doing a Q&A right after this, right? Right here on YouTube, him and Roto Pat. So obviously, please stay tuned for that.
From the era.
Ask him why he's not as popular as Taylor Swift. That should be the first question.
Yes.
We do have running back tiers today, which is a doozy. A lot of tiers to go through for running backs. But before we do any of that, we have a little bit of news. Welcome back, Adam Thielen. to where it all began with the Vikings. That's right. Yeah, I feel like when you go from the Panthers to the Vikings, it's a nice little applause.
For sure.
And,
friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Adam Thielen.
Yes, sir.
For a lot of draft capital associated with day 3 over the next 2 years. So the Vikings, Matthew, while Jordan Addison is suspended, get some wide receiver help in the veteran who was pretty good when he was healthy last year.
Yeah, he certainly was. And the other thing about Thielen is that so he got a massive target share early on when he was sort of the only game in town, but still clearly has something. And then you think about this offense, right? And so, he obviously is very familiar with the Vikings and that offense there. And so I think he'll fit right in, especially as you mentioned, Jordan Addison out for the first 3 games. Jalen Naylor banged up. We don't know his availability for week 1. So they're suddenly pretty thin. And so for them to get using one of those magical 5th-round picks, by the way. They swap 5s with the Panthers. They also give up a 4. Panthers send back a conditional 7th. I think Thielen's actually going to have some cheap fantasy value the first 3 weeks this season. I think once Addison comes back, it's hard to see him having consistent fantasy value in a normal size league and a non-deep league, because you're going to have Addison. Obviously, you have Jefferson there. We know they want to use the running backs, and of course, T.J. Hawkinson's there as well. Rare Writer says, or Rare Revitter?
Sure.
I don't know.
Jet us to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Jet us to the moon, no question. The
story here, though, Matthew, it's an amazing day for cokeheads across America.
Cokeheads unite. Jalen Coker.
Alive and well.
Clearly, this was a move to, as the Carolina Panthers turned to a youth movement. They have T-Mac on one side, Xavier Legette on the other, but Jalen Coker now becomes the big slot for Bryce Young.
Yeah, I think it signals their belief in the step that Coker is made this summer, and he had some flashes last year, but now you look at it, he's starting in 11 personnel for them. And honestly, is there a world where Xavier Legette gets banged up again or things don't click for him, that Coker is the number 2 option in this offense? I don't think that's out of the range of outcomes. So
not at all. I mean, I think questions are still open. It's still to be determined on Xavier Legette.
They don't just trade Thielen thinking like, they got to win some games this year, the Panthers, right? Sure. There's only so many years over and over again that you can lose. So they obviously weren't just going to give Thielen away unless they actually had some belief in the young players on this roster. I am a believer in Coker in this offense.
It's just a great signal. It's the same thing with Devon Vele getting traded and what that signals for Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin. This means that there is a level of confidence in guys like Jalen Coker that perhaps there wasn't 3-4 months ago, but now they've seen enough.
Cokeheads unite. We're back, baby. We're back.
And with that, let's go to the running back tiers. Of course, Tier 1 headlined by a lot of the popular names you see in the first round this year. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Ashton Jeanty, and De'Von Achane there, Matthew, sneaks into Tier 1 as well.
News coming out earlier today with the general manager basically saying they expect De'Von Achane to be ready for week 1. He's sort of been dropping in drafts because people are worried about the injury, but he's going to be there in week 1. And so, De'Von Achane is somebody who just gets massive target share. He was on the love list, as you know, as well. And we talk about that. We talk about these kind of teams that have narrow target trees. And it really is. It's Tyreek Hill, it's Jaden Waddle, it's De'Von Achane. And given that we've seen injury issues from, well, honestly, all 3, but specifically we've seen that from Tyreek, given his age, I think there's a chance that Achane being the number 1 running back in fantasy this year is within the realm of possibilities. I don't know that I would put heavy odds on it. Again, when you've got Bijan and if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, Saquon obviously got a chance, Gibbs, but he's in that conversation of who are the guys that could finish the year as the number 1 running back in fantasy, and he's in there.
Yeah, as opposed to guys like Josh Jacobs isn't going to be the number 1 running back in fantasy, even though he has a relatively high floor. I'm with you on Achane. I think it helps as well that Jonnu Smith isn't around, just because they scheme up those gadgety plays. I think that will be reallocated to Achane. 2 years ago, De'Von Achane looked like a different species on the football field. The way that he was running for those touchdowns against the Giants and the Broncos, that player is still there somewhere. The Dolphins offense makes me a bit nervous in general, but there's certainly upside.
In games last year that Tua Tagovailoa started, De'Von Achane averaged over 22 fantasy points per game. Yeah. He was right there at the top of any running back, just in the games in which Tua started. Now, there is risk, obviously, with Achane's injury and Tua's injury, which is why I have him at running back 6. But I do think he's in that Tier 1. I do think that if you left your draft with Achane as your number 1 running back, you're feeling good.
This comment from Daniel Caps is kind of interesting. Achane, PPR machine, he gets you 20 points, getting less than 70 yards. That's how kind of the structure of the offense, Matthew.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They use him a lot in the passing game, and we'll see. Like, do they use Ollie Gordon at the goal line? Does he not get as much, short yardage stuff? But it's not like he's got a running threat at quarterback the way some running backs do that might take some opportunities there. Achane is similar to Gibbs, and I guess McCaffrey on a little bit of a level, which is that he doesn't need 20 to 25 touches a game to be productive. Like, he's somebody that has that big playability, that has so much usage in the passing game, and we always talk about this. Targets are more valuable than carries. When it comes to running backs, you'd rather receptions than touches, than handoffs, carries. I should say, in terms of fantasy value.
How about the confidence in Ashton Jeanty in this tier? Obviously, a special running back prospect going to a place, Matthew, that Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, they want to run the football a lot, and now they got the talent to do it. And I think this line's a little underrated.
There's been 4 years that Chip Kelly's been a head coach in the NFL. 3 of those, his teams were top 7 in terms of rushing attempts. So, and you don't use the kind of draft capital that you used on Ashton Jeanty if you don't expect to use him early and often. Since 2012, 5 of the 7 running backs drafted inside the top 10 overall, which Jeanty was, have averaged at least 19 touches a game, at least 19. And in fact, all 5 of those running backs that I just mentioned finished as top 7 fantasy running backs this year. It's Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, some superstars, but then Leonard Fournette, who, had some nice years, and then Trent Richardson. Trent Richardson, right? So I'm just saying, I think unless he gets hurt, the floor is very high for Ashton Jeanty, but also so is the ceiling.
Yep, definitely. Connor, how big of a deal is Kaleb McGarry being out for the season for Bijan Robinson? Because not only is McGarry out, who's been one of the better right tackles in football and Penix's blindside, but Storm Norton, the backup, is also out for 6 to 8 weeks. So now they're down to a third-string right tackle.
It is a big deal, but some running backs are, can overcome that, and Bijan is that kind of talent, right? The guys in this tier specifically can overcome average offensive line play. The Falcons still have a good offensive line even without him. But you're right, Jay, it's a big deal. But here's the difference. I think the threat of Penix being able to push the ball down the field is going to open up better run opportunity for Bijan Robinson. They're still going to throw him the ball anyway. So if I was picking number 1 and I wanted a running back, I would be taking Bijan Robinson most likely. Obviously, Chase is in the combo as the number 1 pick. But for this exercise sake, I'm not as worried about it where it drops him behind any of these guys.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. The other guy, Jahmyr Gibbs as well, just to mention his name, his value, if you told me that David Montgomery is only going to get 7 or 8 carries a game, then Jahmyr Gibbs might be the number 1 running back. But there's just the scope for that to get a little bit higher. You still got, I think, 3 years left on his contract with that team. He's a big part of their identity. Suspect that he's going to eat into Gibbs enough to just to make Gibbs not the number 1 running back. But still, there's certainly worlds where he could fit.
No one had more fantasy points per touch among running backs last year than Jahmyr Gibbs. So even if he can get a couple more touches this week, and I told you, I think you'll see him used in the red zone a little bit more. I think the end of last year when Dave Montgomery was out was very instructive on Gibbs, where he took on a massive workload and proved that he could be that dude, that he could be that guy. I agree with you. Dave Montgomery's not going away, but I do think that whereas a year ago we were sort of looking at it Gibbs is higher, but maybe a round or 2 higher. Now there's a more significant gap between the two. I have Bijan at 1, Gibbs at 2, but if somebody drafted Jahmyr Gibbs as the number 1 overall player or as the number 1 running back, I'm not looking at him weird.
Comment here from Johnny Dangerly. Jeanty equals new beast mode, Las Vegas style. That'd be pretty high praise.
Yeah.
What?
Do you think Johnny truly is Danger, or is this Danger Lee? So it's like he's sort of dangerous.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, he's kind of dangerous.
He doesn't want to set the expectations too high.
Yeah, he's I'm danger-ish.
Danger adjacent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the neighborhood of danger.
Yes.
Like he waves to it driving home to his safe house.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But it won't actually rob a bank.
No. His middle name isn't Danger, but he's probably got a cousin named it. Yeah.
Let's move to tier 2 here, guys. And this is another group that, listen, if you're one of those people, say you open your draft taking a wide receiver like Jamar Chase, you're hoping when things swing back to you that you can capitalize on this group. Derrick Henry, a mainstay in fantasy, obviously. Chase Brown and Bucky Irving, a lot of upside, Matthew. Jonathan Taylor trying to get back to form he had a couple years ago where he was, obviously one of the best players in fantasy. And then maybe a step down, Josh Jacobs, Kyren Williams, and ride or die, Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, we'll start with Derrick Henry, who Jay hates. Jay is already Jay's got a ton of Keaton Mitchell. Ton of Keaton Mitchell.
Said it was Keaton Mitchell's backfield.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Jay said.
Yeah. The king is dead.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a young Najee Harris to you. Look, 5 of the past 6 seasons, he's been a top 4 fantasy running back in points per game basis. He doesn't play a ton of snaps. Like, he plays basically like 50% of the snaps. But it's just, again, we expect this to be one of the best offenses in the NFL. When they get in close, they don't like to use Lamar at the goal line. As much for as mobile as Lamar is, I don't feel like Lamar is the same threat as a Josh Allen or a Jalen Hurts when they get in close. Like, when they get in close, it's going to King Henry, right? So I do think that, barring injury, 12 touchdowns is like the floor, is like the bare minimum that Henry gets, and obviously he's got the upside of getting to 20. Brown and Irving here, those are the two guys that, again, as we talk about, targets more valuable than carries. They're both going to be fairly heavily involved in their team's passing attacks, both of which we think are going to be among the best offenses in football.
Yeah, Bucky Irving was one of the most efficient running backs in football last year. Underlying advanced stats, love him. And Chase Brown, it's very simple with Chase Brown. He's just on the field all the time with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. So the offense is just going to score. It's going to be a great offense. Defense is still going to be bad. And he's just going to be in scoring position a lot and put in advantageous situations. To me, the most interesting guy in this tier, Connor, is Jonathan Taylor. Who is, it's strange for JT to be really high variance because we know Jonathan Taylor. He's been in our lives for quite a while now.
Friend of the podcast, Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, multiple time appear on the happy hour. His past 17 games when he's been healthy, it's like almost 1,800 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns. And that's playing with, he's been banged up playing through that. He's played with a mishmash of quarterbacks, and he's still got a mishmash of quarterbacks. But I think that Daniel Jones is probably going to be more competent than what he's had in recent years. So I think that JT, the pass game usage, which he had a little bit in 2021, then it really fell off. That's the knock with him, and also the health. But there are worlds still where JT can be the best running back in football.
Yeah, I get it. I just feel like, you got to deal with his injuries all the time at this point. He's going to have weeks that he wins you the weeks, but you want to talk about consistency across the whole season, I might take Kyren Williams over him right now. And I know Kyren's been banged up too before, but just looking at that offense, I just have a more consistent belief in it right now than the Colts with Daniel Jones, where I know they have talent, but it can get ugly quick when Daniel Jones isn't challenging down the field.
Connor Rogers riding off Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. I don't have any shares of Jonathan Taylor this year.
That's fair. Like, I have Taylor at 10. I have Kyren Williams at 12. Like, and I get it on Kyren Williams, right? No running back last year had more red zone touches than Kyren Williams. He led all running backs in snap rate as well, especially when they get in close. He just got paid this offseason, showing the Rams and Sean McVay their belief in Kyren Williams. Like, I'm not worried about Blake Corum or Jarquez Hunter. They're only going to get on the field if there's an injury to Kyren Williams. Now, that's the knock on Williams. He has missed time every year of his NFL career, but obviously the Rams felt comfortable enough in him to give him a significant contract. The pro Jonathan Taylor argument, I'm more with you, Jay. I'm on that side because I do think he doesn't have the threat. While Daniel Jones is mobile and could, bootleg some touchdowns, he's not Anthony Richardson at the goal line. So you have less of a goal line threat to vulture. Now, they do have Tyler Warren, who could fill that role for the Colts. But I do think that I think the offense will just be more competent under Daniel Jones. They'll stay on the field longer. They'll be in scoring position more often. It's not a division that scares you.
No.
We know he's an elite talent. So a lot would have to go right, Jay, for Jonathan Taylor to finish the year as the number 1 running back in fantasy. But we've seen that before, and I don't know that there's a reason why it couldn't happen. Again, there's a lot more that would have to go right than it did the year that he was. But again, I think he's a top 10 running back. I have him as a tier 2 guy. So he's just sort of right there.
I like your playbook here, Matthew, just being positive on Jonathan Taylor, positive on Derrick Henry. The only 2 guys you don't like are Joe Mixon and Terry McLaurin.
Exactly.
Joe Mixon, who might not play football again, and then Terry McLaurin.
No, wait till you hate the Commanders.
Wait till we get to wait to get to James Cook and Breece Hall. But look, they're in tier 2 for a reason as well. And then of course we've talked a significant amount. I feel safe. So, question here from Kevin D on YouTube, who says, "Who do you feel safer with, Bucky or Brown?" I feel safe with both those guys, but give me Chase Brown. I feel like, again, at this level you have to nitpick. I have them right next to each other, right? Obviously, I have Brown at 8 and I have Bucky Irving at 9, but you're asking me the question, so I feel safer with Chase Brown, who's competing with Taj Brooks and Samaje Perine, right?
In a great offense.
Right, in a great offense, whereas Bucky Irving has Rachaad White, who will have a role, has Sean Tucker, who they have confidence in. Tristan Wirfs is out for a couple of games here as well. So just, again, I think Bucky's going to have a monster game. Bucky part of the championship run on Live at Noon of the Cock, my championship team from last year, Jay Croucher. So, never forget. Backup producer Pete tried to steal Bucky Irving from me in the middle of the season. I wouldn't give it to him.
It's so good.
I'm so glad.
Spamming you with trade requests. I remember this.
Trade requests, yes.
Excited to wipe the slate clean this afternoon. New teams, new board, just knew everything we don't have to hear about your past successes.
Yes, that's right. I'm the defending champion for only a couple more hours. That's right.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to stop, by the way. I'm never optimistic.
Actually, you know what? I'm probably the defending champ until it is.
I wasn't going to remind you of that, but that is actually true.
Until there's a new champion named, if there is one.
Yeah.
I have won, the last 2 years.
When you start 3-6, you won't be crowing as much. I have one thing. So
yes,
I agree with you on Chase Brown over Bucky Irving. It's interesting. Todd Bowles, I think yesterday, went on radio and he was talking about, because Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs, both of them not on the pup list, and he was saying in terms of a return date, he doesn't give away much, Todd Bowles, but he did say with Tristan Wirfs, same timeline as Chris Godwin, anywhere between week 2 and week 5. So the fact that he's keeping the door open for like an early season return, that's good news for both of those guys, and by extension for Bucky Irving if he gets his superstar left tackle back.
No question.
And I believe him because they would have kept the roster spot if they didn't actually think that. So there's no reason for him to lie there. One note on Chase Brown.
Especially right now, by the way, like it's one thing to put somebody on, in the middle of the season.
Yes.
But right now, when roster cuts are, when every spot is so valuable,
trying to steal players,
and you easily, exactly, and you easily could have, and no one would have questioned it. You easily could have put Godwin and Wirfs on the pup list. Say, we'll see you in week 5. Don't worry about it. We're gonna steal 2 roster spots, as it were. The fact that they didn't, I think, is very telling. And by the way, Godwin remains a value in drafts because I think people are like, I think they're treating him like Brandon Ayuk, like, maybe we'll see him mid-season.
Yep.
We're going to see him a lot sooner than later.
2.
Right, exactly, according to Tom. Right, exactly. And this is a guy who, prior to getting hurt last year, was the 7th best wide receiver in fantasy football.
One more note on Chase Brown. Would it surprise anyone if he caught 70 passes this year? I mean, I think this team is going to be throwing all the time. They already showed in a limited sample last year. He had 65 targets. There's just so much to like about both him and Bucky. If you get an elite wide receiver and get one of those 2 guys as your RB1, and there it is right there, from Johnny, slightly dangerous.
Yeah, occasionally.
Brown is going to be a PPR machine.
Yeah.
A safe take.
Yeah.
Yes. He didn't
It's
want
not a dangerous take.
He didn't want to be too crazy.
No. Just like
staying very on brand, Johnny. I like it.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to Tier 3. And
take.
we got a little bit of news as we kick off Tier 3, which is headlined by Alvin Kamara. Spencer Rattler will be the Saints' starting quarterback.
So excited.
Spencer. Yeah.
Spencer Rattler era is underway.
Yeah, Saints Cardinals, week 1, baby. Fire it up.
Go.
Oh, man. Alvin Kamara kicks off Tier 3. Part of that reason is probably because his quarterback is Spencer Rattler. But, Matthew, this is somebody that, because of what he does in the pass game, he always stays, obviously.
By the way, they released Jake Haener.
Yeah.
So what does this say about Tyler Shuck that Spencer Rattler won this job?
Because you don't love it.
Spencer Rattler did not look ready for prime time last year in the limited action he got.
Yeah, you don't love it. I guess it's a classic. It's easy to pull the plug on Rattler and put Shuck in rather than Shuck has a bad start after 7 years of college.
Yeah.
And do we go to Rattler now and then back to Shuck later? So I think that's more of what it was. I don't have a lot of confidence in this offense with Rattler.
I mean, Rattler was a better prospect than Shuck, right? Yeah. For the most part.
I mean, you're asking me to divvy up like 2 guys that I didn't think would be long-term starting quarterbacks, but it's closer. It's pretty close, honestly.
I will tell you, I'm currently in a 12-team super deep, super flex best ball draft with a bunch of fantasy experts. RotoPad is also in this draft, and there was I have Hurts and Goff, and so I sort of waited on quarterback, and there was just a crazy run, and so. There's nothing more sad than saying, yes, I would like to draft Spencer Rattler, like in the second to last. That's what I did. I pushed the button on the app, but I'm just saying, the app says to you, are you sure you want to draft Spencer Rattler? And you're like, yeah, I guess so. It's best ball. It's a super flex. He's my 3rd quarterback.
I think Rattler has a bit more Nick Mullins in him than Tim Boyle in terms of the way that he's he'll chuck it up.
And his early college career, he was that guy. Yeah. Like someone's down there, here it goes. Then he started to dial it in a little bit. Let's see if he could find, the Green Goblin yelling at him to get back to himself again.
Listen, again, he's got a big arm, and so if Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave can stay healthy, right, and you feel confident in the coaching staff under Kellen Moore, I'm not saying draft Spencer Rattler unless you're in the unless you're in like a crazy deep super flex league where you're desperate for a third quarterback, which I was. League. But I'm saying I think there's a scenario where he's competent enough to keep the fantasy floor of these guys high enough, and especially with Alvin Kamara, who has literally never had a season with a target share below 18%. And I suspect with Kellen Moore, who likes to use his running backs, unlocked Saquon Barkley last year in a big way, I do think Kamara remains a value in drafts because no one ever likes him. He was running back 14. You feel like he's been around forever, gets hurt, but he's actually every single year, he's a PPR cheat code and produces top 15 numbers.
How good of an offensive mind do you think Kellen Moore is? Because he got so much buzz with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Kind of felt like they were on the same play over and over again. Just bash the Saquon button and then go balls with Jalen Hurts. It worked, but is he going to scheme?
It didn't work with the Chargers. It did work with the Cowboys.
Right. Here's the sleeper with the Saints, who have the lowest win total in the NFL. They've invested a lot into this offensive line.
4 first-round picks on
There are 4 first-round picks galore that if Kellen Moore can kind of lean on that, and that would help Alvin Kamara, and it would help the young quarterback, maybe they can be somewhat competent, right? I mean, there's talent in this offense. I don't think the defense is going to be very good, which helps us.
They looked like the best team in the NFL 2 weeks in last year.
17 straight drives. And the thing with Rattler last year, too, is that when he came in, it's like, all right, 60% of the offensive line is done, injured. I think Olave and Rashee Rice, they were getting hurt. So he just didn't – I don't think he's going to be great, but we didn't really see him fail with his full kind of assortment of offensive teammates. So, I don't know. There are worlds where they could be interesting on offense. I think the defense is going to be bad, to your point.
Which is good in fantasy.
Sure.
By the way, you're winning back some of the regulars. I had another comment in here from Viscerani that says future three-peat champion Matthew Berry.
Let's go.
I know, but
why is that one on the screen?
Ventura, thanks for the Kamara analysis. Thinking of drafting him in the 4th round of my super flex if he falls.
Love it.
So
I think actually in a super flex he'll fall further than that.
I was going to say that's probably
I think because there'll be a lot of quarterbacks that go. So I think probably 5th or 6th round actually. Herberto, but I like the call there. Well, yeah, why did we not get the comment about me three-peating up?
This comment sucked.
State media is against you.
It's outrageous. I see what's going on. There we go, Viscerani. Boo. Yeah, don't let these people suppress your God-given right to praise me. Make no mistake about it. Yeah, that's right, regulars. 100%. Yeah, I understand the algorithm over here wants to suppress my praise, but no. Yeah. There's no shadow banning going on over here on our YouTube comments.
Let's get back to Tier 3 and see this large collection of names, because there's some guys here, Matthew, that, quite frankly, we don't know what their role is going to be out of the gate, and I think R.J. Harvey fits that bill to a T.
Under Sean Payton, no team has more running back target share than the Denver Broncos. They're first. We know that Sean Payton likes to use the running backs in the passing game, so R.J. Harvey, who some people pre-draft had just on the same level as Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
Some people like Bill a little better.
A little better, but just to give you an idea of how good Harvey is, he's almost as good as Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. But, so I don't.
That's going to make or break me, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. You're all in on that
We're sitting on that one.
No, but that's a great call by you. I'm not letting that one go. I will say this about R.J. Harvey. So I do think that's going to be the key to unlocking any fantasy value for him is his role in this offense. But I remain I don't have a lot of shares of R.J. Harvey this year just because I don't want multiple Denver running backs. And I keep finding J.K. Dobbins to be an unbelievable value. I get the injury history, but Harvey, I don't know that they trust Harvey in pass protection yet. And I do know they trust Dobbins. And I do think that we know Peyton wants to use multiple running backs. And I do think that Dobbins is going to be the early down, goal line, short yardage back, as long as he's healthy. And again, just relative to cost, I'm not saying Dobbins is as good as Harvey or even that he'll have as good a year as Harvey, but relative to cost, I think there's a very reasonable scenario where J.K. Dobbins becomes the better value this year in fantasy drafts when we look a year from now, in terms of what it costed to get Harvey, who was so buzzy, and Dobbins, who everyone has just sort of left for dead.
A lot of X content out there, Connor, on R.J. Harvey not seeing running lanes. Do you buy that? Do you think
it was my number one criticism. I mean, if you have a guy behind Bill as RB13, I like Harvey's explosive. I like him in space, which Sean Payton is excellent as getting his running backs in space with the ball in their hands. But that's my number one criticism. I'm like, he bounces a lot of runs outside because he's a premium athlete that can get away with it. In the NFL, they're going to have to tailor his game so he doesn't do that as much. So, and Sean Payton won't won't live with that very long. Now, I don't think it's going to be a massive issue this year, but I'm with you, Matthew, that at cost, Harvey is very, very expensive right now.
Yeah, and by the way, they have guys there in Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime, no, he's a draft exchange, favorite. But jokes aside, my point is there's enough running backs in that room that Peyton has confidence in that could not have fantasy value for us, but could take 5 touches here, that could take, a couple of targets there, and all of a sudden, just again, for where Harvey is going, I think there are other guys in that range that I feel better with,
Tony Pollard. Much rather have Tony Pollard than
I get
RJ
that.
Harvey.
Right.
Just know that he's going to be a workhorse starter for at least the first 4 weeks of the season with Ty Spears on.
We have some breaking news, guys. We have the Rashee Rice suspension.
Okay.
It will be 6 games to start the season. He has accepted the 6-game suspension. This is working to be finalized between the NFL and the NFLPA, so it'll make him eligible to return Week 7 against the Raiders.
That is, and I say this again, we're a fantasy football show. We're going to talk about the fantasy football impact of his suspension. I do not in any way want to give the impression that we are making light or diminishing what he's been accused of and what he did. But this is actually great news to the extent that, again, I'm merely talking about the suspension. The fact that we, know when the suspension is, that it's 6 games. There was talk of 8 games. There was talk of longer, given the seriousness of the allegations and the crime. And so the fact that it's 6 games and it's the first 6 games, because there was thought process that the hearing's not going to be until after Week 4. It might take 2 weeks, and now all of a sudden you're looking at a 8-game suspension that starts in Week 7, and it takes you through the middle of the season, through all the buys, and into the fantasy playoffs. So the fact that you're only going to have a couple of weeks of buys, you're going to, and it's the first 6 weeks of the season, I actually think Rashee Rice becomes more of a value in fantasy drafts knowing this information.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
His ADP will fall off a cliff now.
Yes. Comes back just in time to face your Commanders as well, Matthew. And he misses a game against my Giants.
There you
so
go.
the
Look at the
NFC
smile on
East
your
crown
face.
marches on. I don't think it's going to change much. I think they're going to lose anyway. But no, look. Rashee Rice, I think overall this just bodes well for the Chiefs offense because there was a lot of uncertainty that this is going to be an even longer suspension. Don't know when it's going to start or end. We saw last year when he was on the field, it wasn't so much the yardage, just the amount of targets that he was getting. He was the
9,
passing
16, 14. It was like a 30% target share. For the first 3 weeks of the season, he was the second best wide receiver in fantasy, averaging over 21 fantasy points per game. Now, Xavier Worthy hadn't really emerged at that point. He was still getting up to speed. And Kelce had a slow start. So there's some mitigating factors that aren't going to be here this year. Worthy is now up to speed. I do think, all jokes aside about the engagement and everything like that, I think Travis Kelce ends up going out in a big year. I think this is his last year. I think he retires at the end of this year, and and gets married at halftime of the Super Bowl to Taylor Swift. No, but I do I think he's going to have a monster year. I think Kelce is actually going to be a value in drafts. And I think this bodes well for Mahomes. It bodes well for the Chiefs offense. And I think as you approach drafts, I think Rice and Worthy are right there. Yeah. I think when both are on the field, you prefer Rice, but you move Worthy up because he's not going to miss the 6 games. But in a given week when both are on the field, Rice will be ranked higher for me than Worthy.
Yeah, and it's a unique situation where, unlike, say, other guys that you might be drafting who are going to miss the start of the season, like Godwin and Ayuk, they're going to take time to ramp up coming off the injuries. Rashee Rice is fully healthy. It might be a little bit of a slow burn the first game, but he's going to be full go pretty quickly once he's playing games.
We got a comment from Raise the Flags. What is Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown are just better after 6 weeks? Rice could be wide receiver 3.
He's just too talented.
Anything's possible, Raise the Flags, if you haven't actually watched football. But whatever.
Regulars. The regulars. Stick with us, regulars.
Wow.
This is not your friend.
Sorry, Raise the Flags. I love you, brother. No, listen.
No, he doesn't. Listen to it.
I don't think that. I think Rice is actually a very special player.
Raise the Flags goes woof.
Right. Raise the flags. Raise the flags is now raise the middle finger.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, as he should.
I don't blame you. Raise the flags. Feel free to. You know what? The rest of the regulars are not allowed to, but fair enough, raise the flags. Raise the flags is allowed to. He should change his avatar to like someone giving me the middle finger or whatever. Yeah.
Or just your face with the
like
crossed out.
100%. You're allowed to be my villain. Raise the flags. These two a-holes are not, but raise the flags. I respect you. Listen.
Raise the flags. I'm going to ask Denny Carter his opinion.
Oh,
it's on.
You should.
The rivalry begins.
The Roto World Q&A live after this. You absolutely should ask Denny Carter his opinion on that question and ask him about me, by all means. Him and Roto Pat doing that. Okay, so all I was going to say is I think Rashee Rice is a special player. We like Worthy a lot. Hollywood Brown's had his moments, but just feels like he's going to be more of a complementary player in this offense. I find it legitimately, I get the question. I think it would be, barring injury to any one of them, I think it would be surprising if Rashee Rice was not the number one wide receiver on this team. At worst, a 1B to Worthy's 1A, but I do think that, Rice has just had too long of a track record of being productive in this offense with Patrick Mahomes.
David Adams, this is good for Rice owners. You don't got to worry about him getting suspended late in the season.
Exactly.
I think that was your opening point.
That's exactly right.
So we're aligned with that. Big Ten Saturday Night is back. We're kicking off the season from the Big House as 14th ranked Michigan hosts New Mexico. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock. Here comes Saturday Night. And for all our real sicko regulars out there, you can catch multiple draft season marathons of fantasy football happy hour over the next few weeks. That includes next Sunday at 9 a.m. and a mammoth 12-hour marathon this Sunday. That's all for free on the NBC Sports Now channel. We're taking a break, but when we're back, we still have more running back tiers to go through, starting with Tier 4 and who could crack the top 20, and the big reveal of the League of Assholes draft order right after this. All right, as we continue to go through Tier 3 here, a couple closing thoughts. As we got through Alvin Kamara, of course, we've talked a lot about RJ Harvey. and Tony Pollard's role. But TreVeyon Henderson, I mean, you're always looking for rookies that could pop, Matthew. Guys that are a little bit in a lower tier, but they have so much upside. It feels like Henderson is that guy because if he took over New England's backfield and the threat that he is in the pass game, the explosive threat that he is, he feels like a player in this range that could really go off.
He's my running back 18, and Canadian Scorsese says, is Henderson the guy most likely to be considered tier 1 or tier 2 next year in this range? Certainly,
I'd say yes.
I would say yes as well, because again, I think similar to like a Jahmyr Gibbs type, like he is not somebody that is going to need a ton of volume to be productive in this offense.
I agree.
He can be really effective on 15 touches.
So the other guy there too, if Kenneth Walker stays healthy for a full year in the Clint Kubiak offense, then next year he's drafted as a top 10 running back.
For sure. I will just tell you, I prefer I have a lot more Zach Charbonnet this year than Ken Walker. When I've gotten Ken Walker, I've reached for Charbonnet just because, again, combined we know there. But I'm nervous about the health of Walker. But I do, we'll get into sort of the insurance running backs, but Charbonnet is one guy that I have a lot of this year because I do really like him when he's out there as well. I don't have a ton of James Cook this year, as we've talked about. He made the hate list. 40% of his fantasy points last season came from touchdowns. We expect some regression there as well. You know, one guy we haven't really talked about very quickly is DeAndre Swift. Like, I'm not the biggest DeAndre Swift guy, but Kaleb Jonson, who we really like, and we'll talk about here in a second, but, like, he's been banged up. Doesn't seem like they love Quinshon Johnson. And
I love Swift this year.
Right? Like, it's a good offensive line.
Right.
Yeah.
He feels like a guy that you can get right outside the top 20 that'll probably safely finish RB 16. And everybody's always looking around 20 going, who could finish in the top 10 for me and win my league? And I get it. You have to take picks like that. But if you get a running back early that you really, really like and they can carry your offense and you need a floor at running back, I think Swift is one of the best values at the position.
Yeah, you just step back and he's the RB1 in a Ben Johnson offense with what I think could be an elite offensive line. So that's the sell on DeAndre Swift, and it's a pretty good one.
And they should throw to him this year. I mean, that's how the Ben Johnson offense should work for him. So if you're looking for a reception uptick, I think DeAndre Swift will give you that as well. Yep. Let's go to tier 4 here, guys, because a lot of names to sort through here. As you see, Bill does make the list. His ascension continues. Charbonnet is on this list as well, Matthew. There's a lot of guys that are in committee backfields. As you see, the 2 Minnesota guys in this range as well, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, the newly acquired Jordan Mason.
Mason, who's averaged over 5 yards per carry in every season in his career and should get a lot of the early down, short yardage work. They're going to use Jones in the passing game. He was top 8 among running backs last year in receptions and receiving yards. And so for a young quarterback like J.J. McCarthy, they're going to use Aaron Jones, especially, again, as we talked about. They just got Adam Thielen because Addison's suspended, Naylor's banged up. So I actually think both guys, especially where they're going, have value this year. We've talked a ton about Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt Bill. He comes in at running back 30 for me as well. Have him as a top 30 guy. You know, and I will say that Jaylen Warren, I think, is sort of interesting here just because, like, it seems like Kaleb Jonson is slow on the uptick. They're using Kenneth Gainwell. Like, Jaylen Warren feels like the guy that they have the most confidence in what is going to be a run-heavy scheme. Rodgers not scared to dump it off to a running back.
And I think that's the underlying factor. Aaron Rodgers, if you're a running back next to him and you don't know the protections or the routes, he doesn't want you out there. And I like Kaleb Jonson a lot. I think he's the future of that backfield. I don't have much expectations for him early in the season, unfortunately.
Yep. Matthew, the backfield I get the most just random texts about from friends, and I think it's maybe the most confusing backfield in the NFL is the Jags.
Yeah.
We've got Travis Etienne, we've got Tank Bigsby, we've got Bashal Tutin. Very confusing where it seemed like Tank Bigsby in training camp was getting most of the run with the Stars, but in preseason it's Etienne. So what are you doing with that backfield?
Yeah, I'm taking a stab late and just look. I think Tutin's really interesting, but I think at least early on it's going to be Etienne and Bigsby in that order. I think that one of them is going to end up at the year with a lot of value, and I think we just don't know. So I'm very high on the Jaguars' offense this year, as you guys know. I think Lawrence is a great pick. Obviously, BTJ and Travis Hunter I'm all in on. Brenton Strange and Parker Washington in super deep leagues late. But so what I'm doing with that is I'm just sort of, I don't want multiple pieces of this backfield. So just depending on where it is in your draft and how your roster construction is going, I'm taking a stab at one of them. I've wound up with more Etienne and Tutin than I have Bigsby this year, just in terms of the way drafts have gone. But that's my sort of take, is that one of those guys is going to emerge, and that it's worth, because of how late they're going, that it's worth taking a shot on one of them.
Let's open up tier 5 with Tank Bigsby, who kicks off that list. And this is a lot of guys that are handcuff backs, depth options as well. and then other players that are, like look at Javonte Williams. He should be the starter for the Cowboys, but ultimately, Matthew, what does that mean? Nick Chubb could be the starter for the Texans, but what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, right? Like I think we just haven't seen it, right? We just haven't seen it. Like
they
again,
have anything left. Yeah.
Right, and he's not going to be used on third down. So whether it's Dario Gumbawale or Woody Marks, again, we think that it'll be more pass happy. I don't mind him if you're in this range. Just sort of like, sure, why not? He's Nick Chubb. Could he fall in? Like, there's a chance where Joe Mixon doesn't play football this year. Like again, this injury, it's been lingering. We already know he's missing 4 games. We don't know when he's coming back. So there's a chance that Nick Chubb, has 3 yards per carry, but winds up with double-digit touchdowns just because of the nature of he's getting the work. Now we'll see if they sign any veterans in the next few days, but it looks like Nick Chubb is going to be over Dameon Pierce to lead this backfield, and it's sort of ugly and inefficient, but I could see him, kind of falling his way into, a running back 3 low-end flex kind of value.
I think you need to get a little more chubby. I think that he is. I think it's instructive that they haven't gone out and gotten another running back. And he was the guy with the starters in preseason. And also in the preseason game, he didn't look like Nick Chubb in 2022, but he was 5 for 25. He looked okay. He looked like an NFL running back. And he's presumably will get better as the season goes on as well, as he gets more tread on the tires, gets more back up to speed. So look, he is the number 1 running back in an offense with C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins.
Real quickly, what do you do with Cleveland's backfield? Judkins isn't even there.
You'd love to not have to rely on any of it, but if you do, I think the only thing I'd be interested in doing is grabbing Judkins for free at the end and maybe you stash him. If you have a stash-worthy spot. If you don't have a roster that you can do that, don't do that. I'm not relying on any of the guys in front of him right now to give us significant production. They have too many problems.
It looks like Samson and Jerome Ford are going to split the workload early on in the season here, and they're both going in this range. Last quick question for you before we get to this draft order. I'm in the middle right now of a Guillotine League draft. I have the number 2 overall pick. Jamar Chase has gone number 1. Bijan, Justin Jefferson.
I had this in our league.
GuillotineLeagues.com. Go check out the app. It's so much fun. It's free. But GuillotineLeagues.com. Where would you guys go? I'm curious.
I think Bijan, but I think it's closer between Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs than it was before the Kaleb McGarry.
I had this exact scenario in our Guillotine League.
Yeah?
I think Roto Pat had the first pick. Chase went first. I had the second pick. I took Bijan. It just in Guillotine,
I know
felt
you
really, really good about it.
And
I also took Rashee Rice, so things are looking up for me.
There you go. No running. He was the only running back to rank top 5 in both rush attempts and targets, Bijan Robinson. So I agree. Just the floor is too high in Guillotine. So there you go. I've taken Bijan Robinson. But by the way, so we wanted to do our draft order. And so I went to Cameo. You can go to Cameo and order a lot of draft orders. I'm on Cameo, by the way. I do it for charity. By the way, if anyone wants me to do their draft order, you can find me on Cameo. I do it to raise money for charity. But anyway, I was searching Cameo to see if I could find somebody that could do a draft order for us. And, well, I did. Adam, go ahead and roll the tape.
Hey, it's Emmy Award-winning broadcaster and analyst Todd Zeal, just here for Matthew to give you guys the draft order for this year's fantasy football camp. We're going to start out with Roto Pat at the top, followed by Denny, and then Matthew's going to be 3rd, Lawrence 4th, Jay 5th, Adam, and then followed Adam with Stupid Dev. That's a great one. Pete's going to be 8. 9 is going to be Stefan, or it could be Steven. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize, but I am an Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, so I usually get those things right.
I didn't know.
Number 10 is going to be Damien, and number 11, George. And I guess that would leave number 12 and absolutely dead last. That would be Connor. Let me make sure that I got that list right. Let me grab that list. Oh, yeah, here it is right here underneath.
This is unbelievable.
Emmy.
It's always your own people
fantasy football
do you dirty.
draft.
You know what's even better?
There's a reason he's an Emmy Award winner.
Yeah. I mean, 10 out of 10 from Todd. No surprise. Emmy Award winner, very talented broadcaster. Mets pre- and post-game, phenomenal. That's my other place of work that I was done at. Like, that's literally when I'm not here. I am in that exact office with that exact backdrop.
It's so funny because it was only ever
going
to be Todd Zeal or Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
People who were gonna, so I thought Flacco was going to.
Full transparency.
I looked to see if I could find Flacco. He's not on Cameo. I literally did think about trying because I have a friend on the Browns PR staff. I was thinking about trying to get Flacco to do it, but we ran out of time.
I had no idea. I have the rundown, but it doesn't say in the rundown. And I thought the same as you. I go, there's a really good chance this is Joe Flacco or Todd Zeal, and one of us is in big trouble. You know what? Thank you, Todd. I want to pick last.
Oh, there you go.
I'm actually pretty happy.
I will tell you the message I gave to Todd when I ordered. I said, listen, hey Todd, Matthew Berry from NBC Sports. The entire point of this cameo is just to give crap to Connor Rogers.
Yes.
I don't care what you do, but you have to introduce yourself as Emmy Award-winning Todd Zeal, and Connor has to pick last. That's all I care. I don't care. Do anything else. And then,
Phenomenal.
He's amazing.
Thank you, Todd. That was awesome.
Comic Avalon, Matthew picking third for his third win in a row. It is meant to be. I agree with you. Target on my back.
Tough day for the regulars today.
Yeah, the regulars
Regulars are on fire. They've gotten more comments on today than I think in any previous show. Regulars are on fire. They're in fuego.
Oh, man. So many good comments here from the regulars right now. Louis Garcia, Cokehead Berry strikes again. I think that was Jalen Coker. Of course.
I'm one of the leaders of the Cokehead.
Just to make sure, as a Jalen Coker fan club, okay, we are a family show. I'd like to make that very, very clear. All right, guys.
We're not a family show. Are we? As we sit here and talk about the League of Assholes draft?
Family adjacent.
Family adjacent.
That's true. The League of Assholes actually brings out the worst in all of us. It really does. Something that brings out the best in us, though, is Fantasy Life Plus. Get personalized fantasy football insights based on your league settings with Fantasy Life Plus. Your league is unique. Your advice should be, too. Head to fantasylife.com and use code. Yeah, you could use Roto20 for 20% off. How about Connor20?
Connor20, Jay20, Matthew20. I will tell you, after yesterday, Jay and I are tied for the lead.
Oh, bang.
Connor.
Hope that.
Connor.
Picking lost.
Connor is last, and he's significantly behind both of us.
I like being the underdog on
I
this
will
show.
say that. Yeah. So if you feel for your boy Connor, use Connor20 at fantasylife.com or J20 Matthew. But here's what's happening here is season rankings. You put in, hey, are you tight end premium or your half-point PPR? Are you a super flex? Do you play 4 wide receivers? Do you play 2? Whatever, you can customize this to whatever crazy scoring. Do you get points per first down? Whatever crazy scoring you have, more points for your tight ends, et cetera, et cetera. You put it in there, and then you customize the ranks. You see all of our experts right there at fantasylife.com. Here, Superflex C, Standard, Superflex Tight End Premium. If you're playing on a certain platform, ESPN, CBS, wherever you're playing, like we have all the ADP from literally my fantasy league, RT Sports, like if you're playing in high stakes leagues, FFPC, that kind of stuff. It's all there. Underdog, you name it. It's available for you at fantasylife.com. Let's see if the Connor20 promo code can get some love today.
Like some sympathy love?
Because Jay20 and Matthew20 launched out to a big lead yesterday, overnight.
Tough 4 minutes for Connor Rogers.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll be back, much to my chagrin, at some point this week.
Yeah.
One more comment here before we go to break. Camilo Rojas, how do I add a stop the clock feature on my upcoming? Yeah, you got to draft with him.
I would have thought that was the first thing you asked the Fantasy Life engineers.
Oh, I was just going to say that's backup producer Pete under his his burner account. That's clearly what that is.
All right, we're taking one more break. When we're back, last call is coming up next.
Among my favorite late round sleepers, Ollie Gordon, Kyle Monangai, and Sean Tucker.
Yeah, Kyle Monangai too.
Monangai. Did I mispronounce his name? I'll get his name right eventually.
All right, we'll be back to talk NFC North Champions right after
this. It's amazing you haven't won an Emmy given how well you are pronouncing names.
I'm overlooked and underappreciated. DraftKings is the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, and right now, all Pick 6 customers can play free for a share of DraftKings' biggest bag ever. Hit all 6 picks for your cut of $1 million or more. Just download the Pick 6 app and use promo code FFHH when you sign up. Ride the upside with Pick 6.
The crown is yours.
Not in the script.
It's not in the script. It may or may not be yours.
We're working on it.
We're waiting for clarification on DraftKings.
We're
but go play
things.
Pick 6.
NFC North odds, I'm blown away by the disrespect of the Detroit Lions at this point. All I have to say is give me the plus 160. I know this division's loaded. I know it's going to be more competitive. I'm not buying in on the Lions' demise.
Yeah, I'm there as well. I'll take the Lions at plus money. I think if they had stayed healthy last year, they're in the Super Bowl. I'm glad my Commanders won that game, obviously, but they just had no one in defense there as well. If I was going to do a non-Lions bet, just the Bears at plus 550.
Right.
Again, it's such a tough division. If you could see if things go right for them. I'd rather the higher odds and take a shot here. But yeah, I think the Lions at 16-1 is the right
Plus
bet
160.
here.
Yeah, no, I get the Lions. I think that they will be better than people anticipate. I think the brain drain is a little overrated, but I'm going to take the Packers at plus 225, one of the youngest teams in the NFL, just natural aging curve. I think they're going to get better. Jordan Love will be healthier. They have a slightly easier schedule than the Lions as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, imagine a Micah Parsons trade.
I want it. Yeah.
That would change these odds.
a lot of Packers stuff, so I'd like Micah on the bet.
I'm sure you would as well. I will say, as much as the regulars do love me, Jay, there is some support from Connor.
Sympathy
I understand. So,
a lot of sympathy support.
Nicholas Lombardo. Connor needs a raise with all this banter. Do you get paid?
Believe it or not, I am a paid employee.
I thought he was an intern this whole time.
HR makes sure of that. Yeah,
Okay.
There's some rules to that. I am paid, but hey, Nicholas, I appreciate it.
Fair enough.
You want to be my agent? This is good work right here.
All right, we
Usually
got it.
I'm the whipping boy. This is a great transition.
Yeah.
Connor Rogers.
Yeah.
Getting smacked.
I'm ready for it.
Getting slapped like a
I needed this motivation before our draft today.
That's right.
I'm not sitting with any of you, by the way, during this draft.
Nor should you.
No, I'll be
Nor
locked away
should
in a
you. We
room.
got a big draft board. No clock on this one, so it'll be exciting. I'm not going to have to say stop it.
Great.
I can just focus on winning for a third straight year. I intend to slap your grapes. I intend to, slap yours as well.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Maybe I'll borrow Todd Zeal's Emmy or use my own.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a subtle flex.
wow.
That's right. There
That
you go.
sucks.
There you go.
Yeah.
Subtle flex.
Back on television, 1963.
Wow. It's closing up. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here for Jay and the poor Connor Rogers. I'm Matthew Berry. We love you, Todd Zeal. Happy birthday, Denny. Peace out.